they arranged a bunch of ass kissers to sit there and watch him bitch about this. And can I just say, this is I think the Forbes site. A bunch of people posted this, RSBN and others. Former President Trump delivers speech after pleading not guilty in federal court. Can we just enjoy that for a second? Feel that, enjoy that, like that. Here we go. Breaking news. Trump mercilessly, this is what they titled it though on their thing. Trump mercilessly unleashes on Biden in speech following arraignment in federal court. Ooh, he gave him such a wording. Oh, after legally having to show up someplace and getting fingerprinted. Oh, he told Biden a thing or two. Ooh. I'm sure Biden's shaking in his shit. Here we go. All right, so let's enjoy. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the face of a man excited to tell his supporters what a great time he had pleading not guilty in federal court and getting finger scanned. Get used to that. I'm having a great time. I gotta say, that's what it looks like. It just looks like he's keep yelling USA. It's covering the sound of.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. It's a great honor to have you here. And today we witness the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country.
I don't know. I think anybody who's had their civil rights violated by J. Edgar Hoover would disagree. And what was that other thing? Oh, yes, slavery.
Very sad thing to watch.
Not really, I gotta say. I mean, it's always a matter of opinion, but nah, not at all.
Sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges.
What did he do to DeSantis? Oh, right, you mean, right.
Of which he and numerous other presidents would be guilty. Right in the middle of a
By the way, this is the best quality of this we could find, this speech, be available out there, and there's still a mic buzz on this. Nice quality control, assholes.
Presidential election in which he is losing very badly.
Yes, very bad. It's terrible. Yes, it's when you ask 50% of Democrats and 50% of Republicans what they think, 50% of those 50% tell you that they like Biden and Trump about the same. Now, the problem, of course, is that 50% of Democrats is millions more people than 50% of Republicans. But whatever.
This is called election interference, and yet...
No, this is called trying to get out of a ticket by saying you're running for mayor. Asshat, we're a year and a half away from the election.
Yet another attempt to rig and steal a presidential election. More important...
attempt. We were successful last time, and I don't know what this rig and attempted horse shit is. You're not in office, are you?
Importantly, it's a political persecution like something straight out of a fascist or communist nation.
Either one, really.
This day will go down in infamy.
Yes, and you guys, and I'm sure you're all students of history. You guys all know that political dissidents in fascist and communist countries often get to fly out of state after they were arraigned and give a speech at one of their private properties. They're always allowed to do that. Oh, that was Fidel Castro would insist. And Stalin had this thing of like, if you didn't have a golf course to make your speech at, if you were a dissident, he would give you a golf course. He would make the people make you a golf course. To each golf, golf according to his needs.
And Joe Biden will forever be remembered as not only the most corrupt president in the history of our country, but
not even close.
Perhaps even more importantly, The president who, together with a band of his closest thugs, misfits, and Marxists, tried to destroy American democracy.
By winning an election and not letting the former leader leave with classified documents. Okay. And everybody's like, boo, kinda, hey, it's a fiery crowd.
But they will fail and we will win bigger and better than ever before.
And Mussolini face, I do my Mussolini face. I'm posing for my coin now.
Charging a former president of the United
And after Mussolini face, I go back to 8-year-old book report body pose. And after they get done.
United States under the Espionage Act of 1917 wasn't meant for this.
What the fuck? Yes, it was. It wasn't meant to stop private citizens from having classified documents at their private homes that they rent out to strangers and hire foreign staff to work at with no background check of measure. It wasn't meant for that because... But then I guess the Second Amendment wasn't meant for machine guns either, so never mind, just erase that.
An act for a crime so heinous that only the death penalty would do, and...
No. We have lots of people that have been convicted of espionage that we didn't kill, stupid.
Threatening me with 400 years in prison.
No, they weren't threatening you. That's what the charges call for. That's like him saying, I threatened them and told them who's boss. I threatened the Biden administration that if you don't let me keep these things, I'm going to throw myself in jail for 400 years, and it's going to be your fault.
For possessing my own presidential papers, which just about every other president has done.
Except they aren't yours, dumb fuck.
Is one of the most...
He's probably going to bring up the Clinton socks thing, where Clinton had recorded his own conversations for a memoir, and the idea around that was, well, why they litigated it was unlike the recordings of everybody in the Oval Office, which were surreptitious recordings, meaning that Nixon and the other party, Nixon didn't let the other parties know they were being recorded. So it technically fell into surveillance records. Clinton, these were interview tapes and his own recordings of his own voice. Everyone was a consensual member of the recording, a word Captain Grab him by the pussy has a problem with. And so the judge found that he could keep them. I don't know. Trump has he brings up the infamous socks case every so often, and he just does not understand the fucking difference.
Outrageous and vicious legal theories ever put forward in an American court of law.
Yes, who would have thought something so crazy that a former president would not be allowed to keep national nuclear secrets in his shitter with a cheese ball lock on it?
The Espionage Act has been used to go after traitors and spies.
Okay, so it is appropriate. I see.
It has nothing to do with a former president legally keeping his own documents.
You're right. And that's not what you're being charged with, fuckhead.
As president, the law that applies to this case is not the Espionage Act, but very simply the Presidential Records Act.
No. You're not charged based on that stuff. You're not charged based on you just being a dick and withholding your Kim Jong-un letter, dumbass. Does anybody actually think, besides the folks that are standing there? Nobody fucking believes this.
Which is not even mentioned in this ridiculous...
Right, because it's not about your personal fucking handwritten notes that you wrote. It's about battle plans and nuclear secrets and information on foreign leaders that is not fucking yours.
44-page indictment.
Yeah, I wouldn't mention that it's a 44-page indictment if I were you. If it was 2 pages, I'd go, oh, these are trumped up. They can't even fill it out with details. 44 pages means there's a lot of fucking footnotes in this, dummy.
Under the Presidential Records
If you don't believe me, by the way, I read the whole goddamn thing on the air, and you know, it's like it is the book on tape most people prefer. I may have to do this with other great works of literature, like the Durham Report, or I've done minor positive versions, of course, with like the Paris Accord and other things, but
Act, which is civil, not criminal.
right, which is why this is a criminal case and doesn't have to. Yes, we know this. That's why I don't know if this asshole understands that if you cheat on your wife, you can't be charged with domestic violence like you can if you hit her. You see, both are marriage is a civil union between people. Okay, I thought we settled that.
I had every right to have these documents.
Nope, apparently not.
The crucial legal precedent is laid out in the most important case.
Which documents? Which ones? The classified ones, or just the rest of your fucking Time magazine covers or whatever? Because I think that is the one, besides this, of course, not being under oath, I think the one big thing missing from this idiocy is I had every right to store the nuclear secrets in my shitter. And but I mean the bathroom with the chandelier, not my actual poop hole, just for the record. That's where I keep Putin's watch.
On the subject known as the Clinton socks case.
Has nothing to do with this. Again, consensual recordings for the purpose of creating a memoir, not national secret documents. Ugh. And by the way, they're laughing about the Clinton socks case because they think they're talking about the cat. I think.
You know what that means?
You know what that means. But if you don't, I'm going to tell you.
After leaving the White House, Bill Clinton kept 79 audio tapes in his sock drawer.
His sock drawer.
Christopher Columbus. Christopher, huh?
Yeah, he had a good sock drawer.
Again, the words are conditions.
His sock drawer. He kept these in his sock drawer so that the Confederate soldiers would not seize upon his nether regions, his private documentations in his sock drawer. And that's why MAGA means something to me.
They included discussions of U.S. military involvement in Haiti.
Yes, the kind of stuff you would put in a memoir, not secrets.
Discussions of U.S. foreign policy, both defense and offense.
Yes, decisions he made about stuff that had happened already.
Against Cuba. Recordings of President Clinton.
Against Cuba. Yes, he talked about the Cuban Missile Crisis and how he might have handled it because he was a kid when he met Kennedy. Read the fucking book, dummy.
Conversations with all of the many foreign leaders at the time. Think of that.
Oh, think of that. Oh, run that by me again, stupid. Hold on one second. God damn, this buzzy audio. Really not much to do about it.
Recordings of President Clinton's conversations with all of the many foreign leaders at the time. Think of that.
Okay, think of it. It's not true, but
sensitive facts about trade negotiations taken from presidential briefings. Discussions with the Secretary of State about...
Okay, again, still details about like, well, China makes this and we make this and they were trying to do this and we wanted this and yes, that's... Were they taken from the sensitive documents? No.
About conflict in Bosnia and much, much more.
Yes, it was kind of the kind of thing you would put in a memoir when you're president.
Very big stuff.
Oh, big stuff. You know, past tense. No longer applicable to anything. Certainly not a future military plan. Like a retaliatory plan for attacking Iran if they attacked Israel or us.
Not only was Bill Clinton never even considered for criminal prosecution based on the tapes he took, but when he was sued for them, he won the case. Judge Amy Berman Jackson's decision states, under the statutory scheme, established by the Presidential Records Act.
Statutory scheme? What a fucking, like, wait, can this guy have, like, can his asshole lawyers just screw this up more? Good Lord. Okay.
The decision to segregate personal materials from presidential records is made by the president during the president's term.
Yeah, that's not even in question. This has nothing to do with that. The president, at no point could Bill Clinton, if Bill Clinton had included in those tapes him dictating what he saw verbatim from classified documents, not his opinions, not his own ideas about, what he was going to put in his memoir because he knew as president what was classified, what wasn't, what reached a certain level because of his own clearance. If he was just reading verbatim, just like he snuck into a fucking skiff with a recorder and just read verbatim from he would have been in as much trouble as you are, dickhead.
And in the president's sole discretion.
No. And by the way, the sole discretion, he's like, it's the sole discretion. Yeah, but you got to let people know. You can't just go, oh yeah, no, backdate that. By the way, fuck, I pardoned all those guys. Did I not mention that? Yeah, it was in my head while I was president, and you don't have any proof that I didn't think of it, and I don't have to put any proof because it's in my sole discretion. So
you're surprised to hear that, aren't you?
No, we're not. Well, I'm not surprised to hear you say stupid shit.
Any normal administration, even an opposing one, would consider that to be the end, but not the corrupt Biden administration. The Sox decision, as it's known.
Yes, the Sox decision, as it's known.
Also,
it's not known. We always talk about the Sox. You guys talk about the Sox decision, all right? Yeah. The idea that if you have two socks and they've got different pads on them, like one gray toe and one gray heel, and you can't see in the shoe that they're different, it's a pair of socks. I've made that decision many times.
States, quote, the National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA, does not have the authority to designate material as presidential records. I don't have the authority. NARA does not have the tapes in question, and NARA lacks any right, duty, or means to seize control of them.
Does he mean Clinton's tapes or his tapes?
This is law.
Is it?
The president enjoys unconstrained authority to make decisions regarding the disposal of documents. That's unconstrained to make that decision.
Yeah, except you have to do it while you're president, fuckhead. And if you know you can't, there's a process to declassify, and you don't go through that process, then you did not even exercise that unconstrained ability. End of story. What the fuck is wrong with this dude?
Neither the archivist nor Congress has the authority to veto the president's decision. The Presidential Records Act does not confer any mandatory or even discretionary authority on the archivist to classify records.
Nobody. Okay. All right. This is a smokescreen argument. This is this is beyond moving the goalpost. This is setting up a tennis net in the middle of the fucking football field. Let's just pretend it's a whole different game.
Under the statute, this responsibility is left solely to the President of the United States. Think of that. That's the decision. Think of that. Now, just think of that.
Yes, we're thinking of that. This we're not talking about shit that's your notes or your ideas or any of that stuff. You can't just take classified documents and say they're mine now. This has nothing to. These are two separate issues entirely. Nice try, though. Nice obfuscation. The idea, though, is that he believes that he can define anything as his own presidential record. Anything, any information that happened while he was president or that he requested during his time as president before he was president, or any plans for the future that might extend out past when he's president, suddenly he can claim these are my personal records. All I got to do is sneak out with them. This is just like idiocy. Ask any Republican, is that how you want shit to work? So first of all, the fuck you looking into Biden for? He's president now. So he can retroactively give himself sole discretion. And Obama, signed an executive order allowing Biden to classify and declassify documents on the same level as the president, which, insofar as I know, Trump did not rescind. So Pence could have used it, but he didn't. Or maybe he wasn't even aware of it. Maybe it was written to the extent of just his presidency. But this isn't the actions of the archivist. This isn't NARA at all. These are simply classified documents that this motherfucker walked with.
In other words, whatever documents the president decides to take with him, he has the right to do so. It's an absolute right. This is...
No, it isn't. Oh, and here's the thing. Here, let's say he has the right, while he's president, to take these documents off, outside of, secure grounds, because he needs them. President, there's a asteroid headed towards Earth, and they're going to divert it, hopefully with a rocket, and they've got to put the president on the fucking base of the moon, and he scoops up a bunch of shit he's going to need about, how to defend ourselves against people who are going to try and blow up the Earth if the asteroid doesn't beat him to it. And he scoops all that shit into his briefcase, and he doesn't need permission to walk it out of the skiff at the time, because he's got to get to Moonbase Alpha, and they haven't set up a skiff up there because it was just an observational facility. And now that it might be the new capital, but we got to go, Mr. President. You can see that thing? Don't look up. Anyway, so he runs out with a bunch of that shit. Even in that process, he is maintaining their classification while they're in his charge. Unless he actively declassifies them, says, I as president say these are now available for public consumption, which is a whole different thing than just I can carry them anywhere the fuck I want. Maybe that's true then up till the day you're not president anymore. And then that day, fuck you. You don't have the right to them anymore, because you're not designating them as personal records anymore. You're saying that in my care anywhere I am, they are not, the classification bubble around me is this fucking big. That's his stupid legal argument.
The law, and that is something that people have now seen, and it couldn't be more clear. They ought to...
it's clear as mud.
Drop this case immediately, because
they ought to drop it. They ought to, because they got to drop it before they play that tape of me saying I know I can't declassify these things and they're not declassified. And can I just say, for a moment, point of order, Mr. Chairman, I'm fairly certain I'm the only person that's floated this rebuttal to his stupid argument. I've not seen anybody cover this fact, that he's like, the president has sole discretion to say, I can declassify these things, which he didn't do, and nobody's even going to argue that. But the idea is that anytime they're in his care as president, he can take them anywhere he wants. He doesn't need your permission. He can't define national secrets as the presidential record, because then, God forbid, it would just be a nightmare. And he knows that, and so does everybody else. But the idea that he could have these things anywhere he wanted while he was president, though. He does have discretion even to be a complete fuck-up. He could be a liar and a fool. But once January 20th comes around, 21st at noon, he no longer has the right to carry those anywhere he wants, because he's just back to being a private citizen. So unless he declassified those during his time for public consumption, from that second forward, he is a average citizen in possession of classified documents. You don't even need to make this argument, but I would like to say that I'm fairly certain I'm the only person clarifying that little stupid concept. Like, it just needs, it needed the whack-a-mole treatment.